Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Can somebody hit a heart if you can hear me okay? Um, I thought I might have seen one. Can you hear me? Yes, one. Oh, there we go. More hearts. Fantastic. Hi, Nancy, Shelley, City Gal. Oh, let me plonk myself down for 5 minutes. Oh, boy. Whew. Hi, welcome to Utrecht. Hmm. Let's see, 4 minutes to go. So, if anyone has any questions about anything, now would be a great time. Uh, to be a nice day today, yeah. I mean, it's grey, but it's not raining. How am I doing solo? You mean I've lost my work wife, Lee? Yeah, Lee and I, we uh, we do a lot of solo tours as well. But it's such fun working with the Utrecht, Utrecht, Utrecht. Yeah, Dutch names, huh? It is such a charming place, Utrecht. Do you do private tours? Yes, absolutely. Angela, that is the main work that I do, and Lee does as well. Yeah, so we certainly do. I'm not sure how far physically, but it took 25 minutes on the train. So not too far away. Do you know how to get hold of me? Yeah. If you want to book a private tour, I have a website, which is thatdamguide.com. Dam is like DAM, like Dam of Amsterdam without the N. Okay. Um, so you can get me that way. Or you can just Google Mark Law Amsterdam Tour Guide and I come up as well. Yeah, Law is my surname, like law as in the long arm of the law. I've been doing this long enough to pop up on Google. So has anybody been to Utrecht in real life? Nope. Good. I can say anything. Yes. Oh, fantastic. When was that, City Gal? Oh, years ago. Okay. Goedemorgen. Goedemiddag from Toronto. Many times. Okay. Okay, Jim. Mm. Why was that? How did it come to be that you were here many times? Were you living in the area or studying here? How are we doing? 1 minute. 1 minute to go. Is there anyone here? You have sat in Rotterdam and traveled around. Let me get my spectacles because I can't read properly. Somewhere, hopefully. Oh, there we go. House sat in Rotterdam, traveled around a lot. That sounds good. You visit a lot. Okay, cool. Hmm. Dutch boyfriend, yeah. Hey, Lee, welcome. This is Lee, my work wife, Lee, joining from Toronto. I assume. Is that you, Lee? Is that the same Lee? No. Oh, sorry. I just called you my wife. Okay, cool. Whereabouts in the US you from? Charlotte from Washington, Kansas. Okay, cool. We're not in Kansas anymore. Um, we are in Utrecht, and I can start. Did you frame your photo from your photo shoot the other day? No, I haven't had time to. It's sitting on my desk. I don't have a frame, but I should get one. It's a good photo. We had to get some big storms today in Pittsfield. Oh, yikes. Yeah. Oh, gosh. We'll batten down the hatches. Hope it's okay. Hey, welcome, Era Music. Suzanne, rather. Hey, I can start. Anyway, look, I'm Mark from Amsterdam. Where are we? We are in Utrecht, Utrecht. And it was a town from Roman times. And next week, I'm going to Maastricht. So that's right down in the south of the country. So I thought I'd choose two Roman towns to complement each other, Utrecht and Maastricht. And then the week after that, very exciting, I'm going to be in Bruges. And the week after that, in Ghent. So some really kind of adventurous day trips from Amsterdam. They're actually a bit more than day trips, really, because with Bruges, I'm going to go down and I'm going to stay for 2 nights. I've been to Bruges a couple of times, but I haven't actually given a tour of it. So I'm going to brush up on my history and then go down a day early and wander around and look for nice routes and then stay over. And then the next day I'm going to go to Ghent. And then so I'll prepare for the week after. Yeah, great. Super, Nancy. So anyway, let me start with Utrecht, where we are now. Where am I from? I'm from South Africa originally, and then I came here in 91, and then I spent a long time in the UK, and now I've been here again since 2009. And I'm staying put. I settled down, got married. I'm a tour guide. I love it. It's a wonderful, wonderful job to do. Now, we're going to wander through the main old part of Utrecht, but before we start that, I've got something rather unusual to show you, which is very charming. A very, very delightful little touch. Ooh, okay. This person here was going too fast, and the people there had right of way, so he was quite correct to stop. Anyone approaching from the right has right of way. Now, the sound is bad. Oh, yay. Is the sound bad for everyone or just for Paul? The sound's fine. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay. Okay, then Paul, you need to refresh. Okay. So it's only if it's bad for all of you that I need to refresh. Okie dokie. Now, there's a project here in Utrecht called Long Poetry, the Letters of Utrecht. And here is a paving stone just explaining that. The Letters of Utrecht, and it's got an arrow that points to these letters here. And this is on the side of the road. You just pan out a bit. So you see, there's the canal. And let's read along here. Je zult ergens moeten beginnen. You have to begin somewhere om het verleden een plaats te geven. To give the past a place. And it goes on and on and on and on. It's a poem that stretches so far for 100 meters. And it's a project started by the Utrecht Guild of Poets in 2013. Just got tripped over myself. And every single day, a poet, the same poet, comes along and adds one more letter to the line of letters. It takes about 3 years to make a sentence. And as I said, they've been doing this for almost 10 years now, for 9 years. This is on the Oude Gracht, and it begins on the corner of Oude Gracht and Lange Smeestraat. Here, Lange Smeestraat. Okay. Now, about every 3 years, another poet takes over, given that it takes about 3 years to make a sentence. And they say they're going to carry this on as long as there are Saturdays, and probably more importantly, as long as the local people are willing to sponsor it. Now, they've planned the initial route that is going to spell out UT for Utrecht, no doubt, and it's going to take until the year 2350, and then they will have spelled UT, And then they decided to leave it up to the people then to choose where they're going to take it later. So I think it's absolutely charming. You can find out about it online as well. Utrecht's unusual because it has a twin level system. And I'm going to pop down to it a couple of times in our walk. But a bit of history now. Utrecht. It's the fourth largest city in the Netherlands. It's the capital of the province of Utrecht that has the same name and as the city. And it's right in the middle of the country. The population's growing slowly. It has 360,000 people in it. And it's well known for having a lot of university students. No, the residences are above. They're not, there tends to be restaurants and stuff down in these things below. Isn't that unusual? Utrecht is the most important city in the country, using the word country loosely because it's kind of expanded and contracted a bit until the Golden Age, the Dutch Golden Age. So what we're talking about there is the 1600s. And that is when Amsterdam really, Amsterdam really came into its own and became the cultural and business center of the country. But up until then, it was Utrecht. And skipping back a bit, it was actually the Bishop of Utrecht who in 1306 gave Amsterdam city rights. Because Amsterdam was just a small town when Utrecht was already established and a very important place. No, Mary, if you want to take a screenshot, you have to use some kind of screenshot program on Beams. So you need to usually arrange that in advance, unfortunately, and get different computers have different ways of doing screenshots. Mine, you just have to push like Shift Print, and it does it. A bit of history. So as I said, I don't know if I said actually, it was a Roman town, and it was a place where they crossed the river, and this was the Rhine River, by the way. So what is now the Oude Gracht here, the old canal, used to actually be the route of the Rhine. Rivers move around over the millennia, amazingly. Yeah. So yeah, it was called Trajectum. Trajectum is a crossing point, and the U, so Trajectum became Trecht, and the U part became, was from like a word saying downriver. By the way, here is a kringloopwinkel. Now, kringloopwinkel means a charity shop. And I was in here earlier because I suddenly realized, to my horror, I had not brought a slicey with me. So I normally buy the slices. Actually, this is a different one. I haven't been into this one. Ooh, wow, look at this. I love this kind of retro, look at this tray thing here with a nice 1930s feel. You know, I could just stop the tour now and go in here for a while and then we could start later. I'm crazy about these shops. Anyway, I realized I hadn't brought a slicey with me. So I popped into actually the one over there and look what I found. And then I went into a stationer's and I said, do you have googly eyes? And they do. And they're actually bigger than the googly eyes I have in Amsterdam. So I have a slicey. Okay. So if you remind me at some point to find somewhere to put it. Anyway, where was I? And then I went into the art shop and I actually kind of created the slicey there. And I used their scissors. They were very amused by it all. So anyway, U means from downriver. Trecht was a place of crossing. So Utrecht became the place of crossing the river. And that was probably, they needed a word to distinguish it from Maastricht or Maastricht, the crossing of the Maas River down south. And that's where we'll be next week. In 200, rather, not 2000. The Romans kind of fortified their settlement here a bit better with stone walls, but it didn't do them much use because in 270 AD, the Germanic tribes invaded. And I've just seen the most hilarious car. I had a crazy uncle, and he had cars that we all thought was so wonderful. And he had one of these Rovers in South Africa, Range Rover. It's so dated and brown. It was even brown. No, they're not assigned parking spots here. But it was just such a snappy thing at the time. It's 25 minutes on the train, Harv. So I don't really know the actual distance. I never really know. Um, so yeah, Germanic tribes kind of invaded, and the Roman Empire was on the decline, so they lost control of here, and it all goes quiet here for I wanted to show you this, until about the 600s. And look at this little detail here. So the building, it's obviously changed its facade a few times, because this is certainly not a facade from 1622. This is more from the late 1700s, the facade. But there's a little carving on the door here, which is a reference to what used to take place here. And this is from 1622, certainly. And this building is where people who loaded and unloaded their boats and barges were based. Maybe stevedores is the right word. And here's the stevedore who's got two sacks over here. So that would be grain, whatever, came in sacks. And they were based here. And then it's split into two different sort of organizations, some who carried sacks below and some who carried sacks above. But there's a remarkable amount of buildings here in Utrecht that are national and municipal monuments. There are just loads and loads of them. Very nice too. Now, as far as bishops go, in the mid-600s, the Pope appointed Willibrord to be a bishop here. Now, Willibrord was an Anglo-Saxon priest, and he was based in Ireland. He was actually from, I think, somewhere near Hull, believe it or not. And he was brought over here to go north and to try and convert the Frisians to Christianity. Frisians weren't very amenable to it, but eventually they were converted. And so Willibrord based himself here. He became a saint. And because he was here, the church of a bishop is a cathedral. So there was a cathedral. We'll see that in just a bit. So yeah, a very important religious center. There's about 15 big churches still here that I could count up. Lots and lots and lots of them. Oh, thank you, Dorothy. In just after 1522, oddly enough, it seems like a string of words to put together in one sentence, but there was a Dutch Pope. Okay. His name was Adriaan Florenzoon Boyens, and he was born here in Utrecht. And he was the very last non-Italian Pope until John Paul II, which is a remarkable number of centuries, I think, to only have Italian popes. So I don't know much about him, but he must have really put people off foreign popes. Let me see the question there. Do many people attend church nowadays? No, they don't. Not according to Wikipedia, anyway. I looked this up, and I think is it 63% of people here are not religiously affiliated. And maybe even 65, I'm not sure. And then, yeah, it's kind of a split up of Catholic and Protestant and Muslim and that type of thing. So no, it's this is quite a secular country. And not overwhelming, but well into the majority of people have no religious affiliation here at all. So where was I with the story? I'm getting sidetracked because it's kind of pretty just to look around as well. So unusual, the split level. Yeah, the bishop, indeed. Okay, the Pope. Yeah, so that's what happened. There was actually a Dutch Pope. Strange to think. Are those apartments? I can only see shops here. There'll be apartments upstairs, of course. So there's shops and restaurants down at this level, and then on street level there's shops and restaurants, and then some of these will be apartments, certainly, definitely. Okay, now Utrecht was an important trading town because from Utrecht there's a river that goes to the Zuiderzee. I'm not that I'm aware of, Susanna, but not that I'm aware of. The water's very well controlled in this country, you know. Thanks, David. As far as trade goes, though, Utrecht was joined to the old Zuiderzee, so the old Southern Sea, by the river Vecht, V-E-C-H-T. Thank you so much for the donations. And if you were with me when I went to Amsterdam Castle or Muiden, that is where this river Vecht comes out and joined that old U-shaped sea. So a really handy connection. And then, of course, this, what you're looking at, used to actually be the Rhine. And when the Rhine moved, this waterway was still here, but it became more like a canal. So yeah, it's always a very important place in that way because yeah, I mean, if you can connect to the Rhine in Europe, you got it made. Okay. Let's go back, way back to 1122. Now, 1122, there was a Concordat in Worms, W-O-R-M-S, and that was an agreement between, it was actually Henry V, who was a German king and a Holy Roman Emperor, and the then Pope. And this is where the emperor, so the secular leader, got the permission and the power to grant secular power to bishops. Now, remember, there was already a bishop here for hundreds of years, and he was given spiritual power from the Pope. Well, the Holy Roman Emperor got the right to, if he wanted, give secular power to the bishops. And this is why this became a prince-bishopric, and where the bishop wielded both secular and spiritual power. Now, this is important because it's almost like the very early rumblings of what became nation states. So 1122. As I mentioned earlier, 1306, a bit later, the Bishop of Utrecht gave Amsterdam city rights. And all the way through to 1528, so from 1122 into 1528, the bishops were in control. And then they lost power. They lost secular power anyway. And that was to Charles V. And he was of Habsburg fame. So the Habsburg emperor of the time. Probably the grandest of the Habsburg emperors. Oh, great. Oh, great. Super. Locals weren't too pleased about this. The local people here had never particularly liked submitting to the bishop. And they certainly didn't want to now submit to whoever Charles V was going to make bishop here, because actually it was raised to an archbishop as well. And you know, they were kind of champing at the bit. They didn't like this foreign control. And, but Charles put that in. And then some 40 years later, still in the 1500s, yeah, 1568 is when the rebellion against the Spanish Habsburgs started. And this is kind of important because it led to the Dutch Republic. And in 1580, Utrecht joined the 7 northern provinces. And that is when Utrecht became part of what is now the Netherlands. So the bishops really had nothing to do with it anymore. And actually, in the same time as that 80 Years' War, that is when the northern Netherlands became Protestant. So the cathedrals, like this one here, and let me just put you, so I just put you on the big wide angle so you could see both. They became Protestant. Now, what have we got here? Well, this is actually a very important tower. It looks rubbish because it's got scaffolding around it, and the scaffolding around it has been around it for years, and it's going to be there until 2024. So it started in 1321 is when they started building this thing. And it took them 60 years. And it's in meters, 102 meters high, which is 367 feet high. And if you count the steps, allegedly, which I haven't done, it's 465 steps up to the top. It's the highest and the oldest tower in the entire country. You can still go up, but I'm not so convinced from views from very high up because all you get to see is tiny little roofs. I like views from sort of like that sort of level there because then you get a more of a diagonal look. But maybe we'll do that one day. But they started to build this, I said, in the 1300s. And actually before, there'd always been a church here, okay? But they kept burning down with like monotonous regularity. And then they started to build this church here. And it's known as Dom, or the Dom. Now, DOM is another word for cathedral. Because there was a bishop here, it was a cathedral or a dom. It was bigger than this, okay? It came all the way across here, the nave did, and joined up to the tower. So it was massive, massive, massive. And they started building this in 1254, but they kind of run out of money. So this is the choir up here, and these bits here were the sideways bits of the cross. The top of the cross is the other end, and this here was the body of the cross over here. But they ran out of money, and they didn't put on the flying buttresses on. And flying buttresses are there for a reason. And then in 1674, there was a big tornado, and this part here was blown down. And the wind speeds were astonishing. They were like 140 miles an hour, 220 kilometers an hour. So this whole section gone, okay, which is why the tower is standing independently of the church. In 2004, they made a big scaffold structure here so people could see what it looked like and platted it to make it look, like the church. And that was blown away in a big storm, which I just think is hilarious. It's like somebody is trying to say, I don't want a nave there. Stop doing that. Look at this building here. It's very charming. Try and get far enough away so you can see it all. This is neo-Renaissance style, and it was donated to the city's university. Let's go and have a closer look and see if we can see any nice details. It's quite interesting, sort of neo-Renaissance, and then right next door, this like super Gothic cathedral. Lovely entrance here. Now, this cathedral is the Cathedral of St. Martin. St. Martin famously cut his cape in half and gave half of it to a cold beggar, and that's what's happening up here. See, there's a beggar behind the horse, and the sword is drawn, and that's cutting his cape in half. And for that, he was given a sainthood. I think I could be a saint if that's all it took. Love these kind of gargoyle-y things. If you're asking about somebody was asking what's the building for, I'm assuming you mean the neo-Renaissance one, because we all know what the cathedral is for. Here's some information about it. Ta-da! How's about that for answering your question? Donated to the University of Utrecht. It's the university's ceremonial center. Okay, and it used to be the Pandhof cloisters. So that would be kind of typical. It was a cloister building and then later donated to the university. So, your camera work is so steady. How do you do that? I got a gimbal, which is a stabilizer. But I also, the tall building, well, it was the tower. It's the biggest church tower in the country. And as I say, it's on a very, very long, slow renovation. Let's have a look here. At least they've got some interesting, you can see how it developed slowly over the centuries. So here's how it started, 1328, 1352 around the corner, and 1360. So 1360 is getting higher, but it still doesn't have the top part. Yes, where I'm walking now used to be church as well, but that was blown away in a tornado. Okay. And here now you can see already 1382 and it's got its full height. Here is the tunnel through the middle of it, through the underneath bit. And then, see, it doesn't, the only changes here really are that it's got a clock that I can see. So really not much difference from 1382 all the way through to the present day, really. But it's just having a very, very much needed exterior renovation. The interior is fine. And it's been going on for years and years and years. I don't have any inside shots, no. Here is an artist's impression of what happened with the tornado of 1674 and the destruction, the absolute destruction that caused. Of the cathedral, no, if you just, I wanted to go in, but they've just closed it. So it's called Dom. If you just like Google Dom Church or Utrecht Cathedral and then look at images, you'll see inside of it. It became Protestant in 1568, presumably, or maybe 15, anyway, between 1568 and 1580, it became Protestant. So whilst it's typically Gothic inside, it doesn't have a lot of stained glass windows. Utrecht is right in the middle of the Netherlands. So if you saw the country and you put a dot in the middle, that's where Utrecht is. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, 1580 is when Utrecht became Protestant because that's when Utrecht joined the Treaty of Utrecht, which should take place a year earlier. And the Catholics had to have hidden away churches after that until the mid 1800s. And here's a nice little garden here. And beautiful entrance. And then there's all sorts of not statues, but panels like around the garden. I really can't tell you what they all are, but I can show you St. Martin. Okay. So there are all sorts of religious imagery here because it was such an important religious center. And then again, from 1853, it was then once again the center of Catholicism in the Netherlands, which it remains to this day, the most important center. This is a very odd one. It looks like it's obviously a bishop feeding a poor person, but it looks like it's stuffing his hand into a mouth that looks a bit like a monkey, but anyway. But here's St. Martin again, who has cut his cloak in half and he's giving half to the the Netherlands has 12 provinces and Utrecht is just one of those provinces. And Holland was also one of those provinces. Holland has now been split into North and South Holland as two different provinces. So a good example, really, really good example, is like calling Great Britain England. Okay. England's just one of four, but people tend sometimes to use that as the name of the country. It's exactly the same with Holland. Lovely old buildings here. So sweet. Much detail. Okay. Now, okay. We go this way, coming up to only one, yeah, very strange window right at the top there. So, coming up to the Oude Gracht again. So, walking at the moment, I'm walking in what was part of the Roman Empire. And then this river here, or what was here, was the Rhine. And just the other side of this bridge is where it stops being part of the Roman Empire. So it's really funny to think this was really the northernmost point of such a great and big and mighty and important empire. It's so funny that the Rhine moved around like that. Thank you for the donations, much appreciated. Let's just pop back here and show you this church. As I said, there's about 13, 15 huge ones, and yes, big church over here. This was actually for the people, as opposed to some of the churches which were just for, probably the monks of that particular order. And this is the oldest one in Utrecht now. It's even older than the cathedral. Oh, that's very slippery. And also, this is now a museum, though, and this is called, it's where you get mechanical instruments. So clocks that work, or organs that work there's by themselves. And there's even, it's hilarious, it's actually a violin that plays automatically, mechanically. It's really fascinating. It's worth coming to, and it's definitely worth doing a guided tour, because then you see all the instruments working because their guides put them all on. But just to show you, I mean, this is how the city grew up. So from 1250 on the left, that's how this church started and grew basically to its current form in 1550. Not much change from there. There's a sundial over here. Not that they get much sun. Let's see. It'll be so lovely once the scaffold's off this tower. You can kind of see up there at the top, there's a square and it's got a red triangle and a white triangle. That's the crest of Utrecht town. And that's meant to show St. Martin's cloak torn in half diagonally. Thanks, Karen. So, go this way. So let's see, there's all sorts of, I got to be careful going down to river level because sometimes there's steps going down one side, like here on the right, but then there are no steps going up. Good question. There are, I saw some cars earlier, but what's it? Utrecht has been largely pedestrianized, and this has been a really wonderful thing for the city. Like really large parts are pedestrianized, and there's only bicycles. So it makes such a difference. It's much calmer, and the air is nice and clean, and we own the streets. And there's no public transport even here in the center. This used to be the old fish market, by the way. Rachmaninoff. Yeah. Why no stained glass windows? Because it was Protestant from 1580. And Protestants tend not to go for that type of thing. The Protestant churches were very, very austere. The focus was on the word of God, the spoken word. So you'll see that the insides of the churches were often painted white or cream. And the way you would expect stained glass windows are often just white glass, or if they are colored glass. They're usually the like the crests of towns and that type of thing. And check out the market woman here. Quite a statue. Sorry, I didn't notice the Rachmaninoff thing, and I don't know Utrecht that well, so because I'm on a date with it. So let's see, where was I going with this one? Important trading town because you could access the Rhine. Oh, sure, it became the center of Catholic religion in the country back in the mid 1800s, so 1850. Oh, look, three. Look, there's a boat coming through here. It looks kind of cool. There are these boats on tourist boats on the canals here. Nearly as many as Amsterdam. It's all just so much calmer here. Love the kind of the interesting bridges as well, sort of slightly arched like that. Much higher above the water than Amsterdam ones. I've not heard of any flooding here. You know, the water is so controlled here. So this water, if there were floods and it rose, then the water would be heading towards the IJsselmeer, or the Markermeer, and what a lake just above Amsterdam that used to be sea, and that's also the country's biggest floodplain. So the water can be routed away very quickly. Lovely building here from, looks like one over here anyway, from the 1900s, early 19s. And 18s on the front here, and this is the Miffy store, because Miffy was from here. Well, because it was where the bishops were. See, I was talking about this is where this was the most important religious center of the country. You know, right from 650 AD up until 1580. So, you know, and that's and because it had that long tradition of that, of course, when people could be openly Catholic again, they would have wanted to have gone back to their previous place of importance. Here's a shop, Winkel van Zinkel, and it was the first department store in the country. Not this particular one, the one in Amsterdam, but this one is from about 20 years later, and it's got these lovely Greek ladies as pillars in the front. It's not a department store anymore. Like everywhere, it's a restaurant. Yes, thank you. The word I can never say it. I don't know. I say carriers, and you know, from ancient Greece. Sure, you know, I'm showing you when I visit towns. I tend to go around the old center, which is what I like. And let me just see. I've still got time. We're going to run over a little. I hope you can stay with me because there's a beautiful, beautiful Art Deco / Amsterdam School library. And I got permission earlier. I just asked if I could go inside and they said yes. So I want to show you that a bit later as well. So we might run a bit more than 45 minutes. Never know. Also want to go down to river level. So that without getting stuck. We can go down this way, so to speak. Thank you for the donations. So here we are. Absolutely gorgeous here. Look at this. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, best not walk along the wall. I think I'll walk through this way. But what a nice, cozy place to have dinner. This already is just so special, the split level story. So obviously it was made so people could load and unload the barges easily. And then these great big cellars were for storage. And they say they would sometimes go right the way back under the road and then be the storage for the house above. The water doesn't look particularly clean, must say. If you look here, these go really quite far back. And then it goes far, far in there. The water looks pretty grubby. So I just don't. As far as the drinking water in Utrecht goes, it's very different from Amsterdam, because in Amsterdam it's from the sand dunes, but in Utrecht it's actually from various springs is where they get their water from. And then of course it would be treated, you know, they're not going to just put stuff. Oh, that's a pleasure. I'm going to go down in the next one as well. The water doesn't smell at all, no. So I'm sure it is probably quite clean. It just doesn't look particularly clean because, yeah, it's we just don't have that kind of water here, you know, kind of pretty green water. Look at this. Tulip bulbs. Three. That's okay. 3 of these. How do you say bunches here for 10 euros? So that's pretty good value. Yeah, they sell bouquets as well here. Hello. Oh yes, my slicey. I've got to find somewhere for that. So wow, look at these beautiful roses here. 10 roses for 10 euros. Okay. Yes, this is Project Slicey. Okay. Let me just get it and put it in my hands and carry it so I don't forget. And we'll pop down the level again. Yeah, they're fixing the canal wall. I mean, the never-ending story. There's a silly movie from years ago called Amsterdam, and they filmed a speedboat chase through here, trying to pretend it was Amsterdam, but it was so ridiculous because only Utrecht has these types of quaysides here. Thanks for the memories. Having lunch in one of those restaurants. Oh, great. Oh, a friend from Snake. I like Snake. It's a little town just in the north, in Friesland. Let's see. I haven't found anywhere to put the slicey yet because he needs a nice flower pot. Get plonked in. Such a lovely town. It's so interesting with the split level thing. I'm really taken by it. And so many lovely buildings as well. So basically, we're walking along the Oude Gracht, which is just this really pretty part of historic Utrecht. Da, 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 da. I made some people laugh so much with this earlier. Now, let's see. So, famous things from Utrecht. Miffy, as I mentioned, the maker of Miffy kind of came up with Miffy here, and Excuse me. Did I say that they have traffic lights with like Miffy characters for walk and don't walk? I think is really pretty cool. Here is a remarkable building. It's a style of architecture called Amsterdamse School or Amsterdam School, and it's a little bit like Art Deco. There's not quite, but it's the same sort of period and the same sort of feel. Not quite as angular. And I'm going to talk about that a lot in the future. But this building here, so this is the one side of it, and then it's got a mirror image the other side over there. And it was built as the post office. We're going to go inside that. Before we get there, actually, check this one out. Here's from a little earlier. This is the old men's and women's home. Look, crazy old, these buildings here. Still can't see anywhere to put the slicey. Let me just have a look down here. No plant pots down there. Here's where I got the googly eyes from. Should probably go back and go and get some more. It's a word for that kind of person. What is it again? I forget. I'm not allowed to say. Would it have? I don't think that would have been the one with like a Hofje development. No, that was. I don't think there's. It was quite a narrow frontage, so it didn't look like it would have had a big garden inside. Differences, by the way, about living in Utrecht is apparently, from what I've researched, yeah, you'll see it's so remarkable inside. It's absolutely really special. But first thing is the slicey. Got it done. Anyway, secondly, like about living here. There is quite a big expat community here, and there's lots of different nationalities living here. Apparently, people come here more to stay. To stay for longer than say people in Amsterdam, where because Amsterdam has so much business now, you get expats going there, and they stay for 3 or 4 years. Whereas here, people actually come and settle here because it's such a nice place to live. You see, there is public transport, but it's not in the old center. And what people like about it very much here is the fact that you can jump on your bicycle and you can be anywhere in 10 minutes. And also you can jump on your bike and you can be outside the city in the countryside in 10 minutes. And there are lots of castles and things nearby like that, which is really nice to visit. So that's a big plus point for many people. Also, apparently, you're more likely to have people speaking to you in Dutch here. So if you're living in Amsterdam and you're a foreigner, but you've moved to Amsterdam, as soon as you open your mouth in a shop, even if you speak to people in Dutch, they will start to speak to you in English. That doesn't happen here, apparently. So it's much easier to integrate because you get more practice in speaking Dutch. Okay, I have found some flower pots. Okay, here is a flower pot, which looks like a really good place to put a slicey. There we go. Now, the reason I do this, if you're new to me, is just because I find them so funny and they make me smile. And I like the idea of just putting them in places that people notice them after a while and it makes them smile. I've actually put them in Amsterdam and I've gone back and I've seen them last there for weeks in very, very open public places where people have obviously seen it and decided not to take it away because they're welcome to take it away. Very happy for them to do that. Now have a good look at this building, because once you're inside, it's not what you expect it to look like. Okay? No, there isn't, Dorothy. Normally I put a hashtag that guide, which is my business name on the back of it. But because I left it at home, those are at home. So I just need to find a face mask now. Oh yeah. Mask, mask, mask. I have backup ones, don't worry. Another part of my bag. There we go. Sorry, I know I'm flinging you around a bit, but I just need to put a face mask on. Okay. Oh, okay. So, and I have to take my spectacles off now because they messed up. So I'm not gonna. Oh yeah. As far as the bicycles go, there's what, say 360,000 people living here. Just say 350, and they say they're double the amount of bikes. So there'd be at least 700,000 bikes. Okay. Now going in here, I'm going to point you upwards first because I'm not allowed to film anyone without their consent. So when I asked earlier about coming in here, they said I could do it, but just careful where I point the camera. Yeah. And I'm not going to talk very much because it is a library. Gorgeous statue here. A real sort of metropolis feel. There are scooters here, and they don't have the same rules as in Amsterdam. So the scooters don't need to wear a helmet. Bicycle theft's always going to be a problem, yes, but not so much of a problem now that we don't have as much drug use. I see the person who's at the desk is not the person who gave me permission, so I'm just going to show you quickly, just in case I'm asked to leave. Let's have a look at some details. So there's an elephant here. I don't know if that's meant to show that the postal service is slow. It was a post office, and then now it's a library. Being the postal service, it has the different continents mentioned. Looks like I'm praying on my knees in front of each one of these. It's quite funny. Here's Africa. Oh, I'm going to put you on the other. This will make it easier. There we go. It was built in 1919, Matt. What statue group at the entrance? I'm not sure. We can go and have another look on the way out. I'll just show you the different continent figures.
Here's Asia. Yeah, well, that was Africa because that was Africa. But here we have Asia. So with the Asian elephants at the bottom, and there's a piano in the next room with somebody playing it. There we have Europa, and we have horses at the bottom. The books are on the upper floors. I'll show you. So here's a better lit elephant. Yeah, absolutely. You see, here is the categories of, oh, this one's in Dutch. I think it's in English on the other side. I'd rather do that for you. They're quite a remarkable space, isn't it? I mean, what a post office. I don't know what they're made of. I'll go and try and chip a bit off and see what it is. They look like wood, but I'm not sure. Look, you can see here they have this in, I think it's English. Oh, no, it's Dutch. But this is the index of where you'll find everything in the library and the different floors. Yeah, so we've still got Australia and America to go. And I can see if this is wood. It looks like it ought to be wood. Australia with the little kangaroos with the baby roos in their pouches. Oh no, it's definitely stone. So yeah, it's very solid. It ain't wood. I'll show you America, and then we'll come back to this one, which is nameless. Maybe it's the lost continent. America. Yeah, I don't know. As I say, it's they painted. Trying to do some clever filming showing. I can't read what you're writing because I don't have my spectacles on. The camera's too close, but isn't it beautiful? Here, it's other thing. Let's try and work out what. Yes, it is glass. Yes. What have we here now? Okay, so let's try and work out. Um, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's just like one of those classic kind of figures in that style from the period. You know, there's if you think of films like Metropolis and stuff, it's from the 1920s and stuff. This is a very strong sort of design style. It's very reminiscent of that whole period. And I'm not entirely sure what she's holding. So, like, it's a staff of some sort. As I say, I was doing a day trip here, and I mean, I knew about this place, and I came in, and I'm so used to places not allowing filming. You know, in Amsterdam, I asked so many places, and they say no. And then, of course, I came inside, and they said yes. So, it rather took me by surprise. So, I would obviously have researched a little bit more if I'd known I was coming inside. But hey, there we go. Um, and here we are, nighttime. Oh, that looks pretty. So, thanks for joining, and thanks so much for so many donations coming in. I saw loads of them, and I really do appreciate it enormously. It's such fun going to new places and learning about them. What, next week? I know I'm repeating myself here, but next week's Maastricht, and then Bruges, and then Ghent. And as I said, I'm really happy to go, really happy to put in the effort. Really appreciate it that you donate towards it, especially Bruges and Ghent, because it's like 3.5 hours on the train and I have to stay over a night or two. But that's okay. It's actually a real joy to be out and doing things. And it's such a creative time, I'm finding, in a time which would normally just be quiet and sitting at home, you know, looking out the window at the grayness. And it's just great to be out. So, yeah, I'm going to do these trips. You know, I'm going to repeat these places in different seasons, you know. So, sort of in late spring, summer, come here again, and then come in the fall. And once I've got enough places that I know and can go to, I can kind of get that repeat going. And then, yeah, just carry on exploring. So I can put my spectacles back on there. Are there any questions that I missed? Because it's so easy to do. And by the way, I've got a Facebook group with Lee. If you haven't joined it, you can. I have checked with Beams, they don't mind. And it's called, Lee, if you're there. No, Lee's not on board, sorry. It's called, in Facebook, if you search Mark and Lee's Splendid Amsterdam Adventures, you'll find it. And that's where we can easily chat to each other, because otherwise I don't get to know you at all, you know, and you don't get to know me beyond what I'm saying to the camera. But in this way on Facebook, we can chat about stuff. You can tell me places you're interested in. I'm always happy to go to a new town. And there, I think Nancy put it up. Thanks, Nancy. We did see some tourist boats. Yeah, I mean, there's far fewer because, I mean, there's not so much tourism here, and it is February. The ceiling of it was glass with lights behind. So it was illuminated behind. It's amazing. I mean, you would never say, look at it again from the outside. I mean, who would say in this building here that there was this phenomenal arched ceiling? You just don't see it. And it's running across that way from end to end. I must actually look at it on Google Earth. It's a lot cheaper to live here in Utrecht than Amsterdam. You get apparently where you would just get a tiny apartment in Amsterdam for the rent. You get like a small house here. So yeah, and yeah, I can see the attraction of Utrecht. It's much more better located for so many places in the country. It's right slap bang in the middle. So what a fantastic starting point for lots of trips out. It's quicker to get to The Hague from Utrecht than it is from Amsterdam. These tours take us. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a very unusual structure. And yeah, what a lovely reading room. And how lucky have I been with the weather today? It is so grey and gloomy over there, really dark. Um, you know what I'm going to do though? I'm going to go for beer. I think I saw a Belgian beer bar somewhere. It's 5:36 in the evening, and when is the peak tulip season? Okay, with tulip seasons, it really varies depending on how cold or warm the spring is. However, it's turning out to be an exceptionally mild winter. So if it carries on like this, the tulips are going to be early this year. Last year, they were very, very late. I've always said to people, if you want to make sure that you're going to see the tulip gardens and the fields in their best condition, I would say the third week in April. Now, of course, if you come last year, that would have been disappointing because it was such a cold April. They weren't ready out yet. They lasted well into May, but that seemed like a really big anomaly. So yeah, but I would still stick to, I would say, the third week in April is optimum, and then a week before or after. Certainly a week before if you want to see more stuff in the fields. And we're going to do a lot of tulip sunbeams. I love tulips. I know them well. I'll take you to the gardens, take you to the fields. I've got quite a few bookings for in-person tours. But then for the tulips, but of course I have for the last 2 years, and both years they all cancelled. Oh, what was the first year of it? 2020. 2020 was going to be my best year ever. And I had me and one, two, three other guides also doing tulip tours in my company. And we were fully booked, and then everything cancelled. Which, I mean, it's fine. I never ever, I'm very, very, very good with money. So I never spend any money that hasn't actually been earned yet, but it killed me. It was like 30,000 euros of refunds. I was like, oh my goodness me. So, let me see. I'd like to go down. Oh, that's so pretty with the lights. I know I'm going into overtime, and I hope I'm not cutting into the tour of a colleague. However, I want to go down to river level on this quay and get a reflection of those lights. I'm just trying to find the stairs. Oh yeah, I know. You have to refund. Yeah. Oh, there are the stairs. Oh, really? Many didn't? Oh gosh. I can't imagine they would ever get any business again. No, I was quite proud to refund immediately, no quibbles. And I do have a refund policy anyway, so. Euro and US dollars, I'm not, uh, let's see, $100 is less than euros. I think it's like between 80 and 90 euros. I never left beams. Look at these nice colors here. Let's try and set this up nicely. Oh gosh. So I don't think I said, with the bicycles here, um, the city decided to pedestrianize, and so then they've got the biggest bicycle parking in the country. It's by the station, and you can park 12,500 bicycles underground in a safe, secure place. 12,500, eh? And there was an old canal, like a moat, around the city because it was a walled city once. This wall came down, But the moat stayed there. And then, let's see if it's not too slippery here. And then, hang on a sec. See if I can get you a sneak peek around the corner here. They filled in a bit of the old moat and they made a motorway. And then what happened is that, oh, I don't know where the blue light's gone. That was really pretty. No, that was kind of bright. And what they've done is they've opened it up again. Oh, there we go. And it's now part of the moat again. So they've actually taken that away from the cars. Oh, that's beautiful. Huh. So yeah, very, very, very bike-friendly city. More so than Amsterdam even. Yeah, no, I don't want to fall in. Definitely don't, especially not so far away from home. Can you imagine going on the train soaked? Oh, I love this blue hour. So what I've done in Ghent and Bruges is I've done a day tour and a night tour, so that we get this kind of contrast, especially since it's so far away. Oh yes, time for beer. Oh, but it's so pretty. I don't want to stop. Look at this. Oh, gorgeous. It's just amazing. Absolutely magnificent. Let me just look from this bridge as well. So yeah, charming place. Yeah, how do you choose? I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google that bar. I'm not sure where it is now, being backwards and forwards so much. But there was something. It was Belgique. It was called Cafe or Bar Belgique. Okay, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining. And I kind of got the feeling that you enjoyed it. That was clear. I enjoyed it. Where's a nice background? There's a nice background. It's a pleasure. So take care, everybody, and I hope to see you soon. Happy travels, and bye bye.